Hello and welcome to Supporting Truth. Last night I had a dream that I've never had before in my life. And, here we are over a decade now with Donald Trump in the political arena and back in charge for a second time. And there's been a lot of discussion about his health and assassination attempts and all that. But not once until last night, I actually had a dream that Donald Trump died. And the way the dream went, I had apparently gone to bed early one night and then woke up the next day to the news that Trump had died. But apparently everybody else knew about it long before I did, so the news apparently had broke shortly after I had gone to bed the night before. And it was, I kind of made the assumption in the dream that he died of natural causes. And, if you've been watching my videos, my last video was titled The Fate of Trump. Now, someone could say, well, you did a video about the fate of Trump or partly about that and mentioned that he would eventually die of natural causes. So maybe that's the reason why you had the dream, and maybe that's possible. But, I made the video several days ago, and I've often thought about what's going to happen to Donald Trump. Will he die? Will he be assassinated? His health is deteriorating. But all those times of thinking about it, I never once dreamed about it. Never. So take that for whatever you think it's worth. And I'll do the same because I don't know if it's a prophetic dream or not. Only time will tell. But I also wanted to mention in this video that the midterms are coming up, and if Trump lives long enough beyond November the 3rd, when they have the midterm elections, this country is going to be in deep trouble. I've always said, or I've said in several videos in recent years, that I didn't believe that the mark of the beast system would be rolled out until the world's economies would be in trouble. And if you're paying attention, you can easily see that that's happening around the world. And if you're following the news about the economy in the United States, you know that we could be on the brink of a major recession or even an economic collapse of some sort. I mean, eventually the bills come due. Eventually, when if you're not functioning properly and the right things aren't happening, the results, the dominoes start to fall. And if there's no one there to stop it, then they just keep falling. And this Trump administration is so incompetent that, or maybe they are competent and they know exactly what they're doing. I don't know what their entire game plan is, but it's not good. These are evil, evil, wicked people in office and power right now in this Trump regime. It's clear from Donald Trump's own words that they want to eliminate any federal money going to states to help fund Medicare and Medicaid or any government program that helps the needy, like for daycare and other things, and for school lunches. Trump says we got to fight wars. So that means he wants to not only do something, in this war with Iran, but he wants to go elsewhere and fight other wars. The next war, if he does fight another war, will probably be one that he has a much better chance of winning, like going to Greenland or someplace like that. I don't know what their plans are. It's all foolishness. But Satan is behind this, and it's obvious to me, even though no one else is talking about this. I've not heard one person mention this, and I don't understand this. It is so crystal clear to me that Satan is using Trump to bring hatred against Christians, because the world sees Donald Trump being supported by what I would have to call fake Christians, because a true Christian does not support evil and wickedness. They certainly would not support a mass murderer like Trump. And that's exactly what the man is. How can you kill thousands of people and not be classified as a mass murderer? Murder is murder, whether you do it in war or if you do it yourself with a gun or whatever. It's still, the end result is several people are dead because of your actions. And if you keep that up and continue to do that, killing civilians, you can look this up. There have been over 66 schools destroyed with kids in them, I assume, but 66 schools in Iran, both by United States and Israel. There have been, the last time I checked, and this was a couple of weeks ago, 13 hospitals and medical facilities hit, destroyed. And it's unlikely that they were all empty. And why would they even hit them anyway with the precision of our weapons and intelligence? They know what every building is in Iran. You know that. But they're hitting these schools and other places and they're hitting bridges. And you know that they're not giving them a chance to clear the bridge and not drive over it, before they blow it up. So civilians are driving over these bridges. So that's deliberate murder. There's no argument about whether he's a murderer or not. And there's no defense for him killing thousands of people in multiple countries. Look it up. How many bombs? Just Google, research yourself. How many countries Trump has bombed and how many people have died? See, the Department of Defense or Department of War, whatever they want to call it nowadays, they don't keep track of how many people they kill in other countries in wars. They don't do that. And the reason why I found that out was back during the first Gulf War. I called the Department of Defense to ask them how many people they'd killed in that war. And they said they don't keep track. And then later I got that confirmed from another source that's how they operate. They don't keep track of how many people they kill. They want the people in the United States to be ignorant about how many people they're murdering. This country has become evil. It's been taken over by demons and devils, and there's just so much evidence that points towards the United States being Mystery Babylon. And it's easy to see that the world is getting sick and tired of the United States. The hatred and anger towards the United States and Israel is growing by the day. So I would be shocked if there are not leaders in other countries right now planning something for the United States, or if they're just waiting to see if we implode inwardly on ourselves. And that could happen right after the midterm election. In fact, I expect something to happen unless it goes like this. If they are so slick about how they go about rigging the election that it actually looks like that there weren't enough votes and the Republicans won fairly, if that happens to be the case, that the elections look like they were fair, then I can see how the United States, the other side, liberals, Democrats, will accept the results to some extent. I'm sure that there would be uh, contested results, and there'll be court battles, that sort of thing, maybe a protest here and there. But as far as, there being civil unrest, major civil unrest, or that could even approach the levels of like a civil war, that would be unlikely because the Democrats have already proven that they're not like MAGA. They don't collectively, by the thousands, go run to the Capitol and fight police officers and vandalize the Capitol of the United States. They're not like that. They don't have that same violent mentality and barbaric mentality. They don't do that. They're not stupid for the most part. They're not wise either, because if they were wise, they'd stay out of politics altogether. They would serve God, and they'd be living for their eternal home in heaven and not this world. And they would let the governments remain in God's hands and not and trust God instead of meddling and trying to manhandle things like the rest of the world does. But so what I'm getting at is, if the midterm elections, the one thing that will keep this country intact for the most part without major violence spreading across the country, is if they rig the elections so slick that they look like they were fair and legitimate elections, and the Republicans win. But what will happen as a result of that is the takeover. The takeover by this regime. Trump will feel like a ton of bricks just rolled off his back. And he will feel free to do whatever he wants. And they will do whatever they want. And you're going to see things happening in this country like you've never seen happen before. I'm talking like a Nazi regime ramping up, just like, things rolled out slowly when Adolf Hitler first came into power. Didn't all happen all at once. I don't know if you've been seeing this, but for the last several years now, I've been seeing these huge containers with what look to be like, it's hard to say what it is, some kind of technical looking stuff. I don't know if it's, it could be furnaces, it could be air conditioners. I don't know what they are on one end of these huge containers. They're being hauled right and left. If you get out on a highway long enough, you're going to run into at least one. They're being hauled all over the place. Now, they could be all part of the data centers. I don't know. All I know is in my 66 years, almost 66 now, I've never seen these type of containers being hauled down the highway before. They're prefab containers. I don't know where they're going. Like I said, they may be part of the data centers, but from what I've been looking at in terms of the data centers, they're constructed on site. They're bringing the materials in and building these data centers on site. I haven't watched one on being built, but I've done a little reading about it, and so I don't know what these things are. They're going down the freeways, but I'm not saying that they are furnaces. I'm not saying that this is how they're going to destroy some people or plan to. But all I know is this is an evil, evil regime. It's wicked. Don't underestimate how wicked it is. We're living in the last days, and this kind of thing has happened before in this world. Men have done horrible, wicked things to each other for centuries. So don't put anything past this bunch of people that we've got in power today. But at the same time, our trust must be in God. We don't need to fear these things. We just need to be aware of them. Don't be caught off guard. And prepare yourselves mentally and spiritually to endure to the end. But I just wanted to bring up a few of these things and give you some things to think about and pray about and prepare for. But as always, finish strong in the Lord.